Jim, do you always self-publish or do you work with a publisher?
Yeah, no, I like to tell people I started at the top of the publishing realm and worked my way down. Back in the 90s, I published a novel, a crime novel with HarperCollins, and I got a nice advance, and people were talking about Elmore Leonard and me, and boy, the future looked bright. The book undersold and got remaindered, and my career basically was shanghaied at that point. So I did the Duck Alley book with a smaller publisher, and since then I can't even get smaller publishers or agents to listen to me. But that's not going to stop me from writing. So I do all. I don't. The term we talked about verbs before. It's not self published, Rena. It's independently published. Please.
Okay.
It's self-publishing went out in the 1990s, but I just love it. I do it with the KDP program with Amazon. They treat me right. I treat them right. I finish a book on Thursday, and on Friday it's got worldwide distribution. Anybody in the world. I mean, there's not millions of people buying it, but that's the way it goes. So anyway, yeah, I love independent publishing, or you can also call it direct publishing. That's acceptable too, but never self-publishing. That's a curse word.
Well, thank you for teaching me that, actually.
Well, thanks.
I've never, obviously I've never done my own book. I only am in, journalism and research and so forth. So I'm not as familiar with that process.
Yeah, I mean, 90% of the time you're going to sell, copies to your friends and things. But I've got at least 2 or 3 relatives and friends who hit the big time. I have a relative who wrote a romantic novel. It was made into a movie called Forever Yours, I think. And I have a friend who lives down the road who's sold 80,000 copies of a series of assassin books. And boy, HarperCollins isn't selling any 80,000 copies of any book. So it can be done. But to tell the truth, it's so easy, and there's no gatekeeper, that there's millions of absolutely horrible books on Amazon and anywhere else, all independently published. So it's hard getting. I can't get my head above that water and sell a lot of books, but that's okay. I've known 2 or 3 people who've broken through into the big time by independently publishing. You should try it sometime if you have an idea, Rena, for a book and you'd like to try it. Go ahead and do it. I'm not guaranteeing a lot of money or a lot of readership, but I bet you'd enjoy yourself.
I think that's sort of what I want to get back to, is enjoy, because when you do it for money, you just don't enjoy it anymore. It becomes work. It becomes a job. So I think that independent publishing probably is a great way to go if you just are writing for the love of it.
It is. Yeah. No,
do you
I'm
work
lucky.
with an editor? Do you just, maybe a friend or somebody do you work with somebody?
I do. My writing group is really good, and I do have some other people who will read the things. Mostly I have a proofreader, a guy named Jeff Hewitt, who for 100, I shouldn't be saying the number, but really cheap, he'll proofread my book for me before it gets out. And I don't know if you know about Well, you would know this. You can go over something 1,000 times and swear there's no mistakes in it. And I'll send it off to, I call him Fuzzy Hewitt, and he'll find a typo on every single page, and he's good. Sometimes I remember once I put a closed parentheses in italics instead of in regular font, and he caught it. So wow. Yeah. So yeah, that's my big help. I do like friends and editors and helpers and supporters, but I think you need a good proofreader.
Yeah, I guess that's why I asked, because any writer, you could be amazing and still, because it's your work, you're too close to it, and so you're not going to see that typo or yeah.
And you think if you read it a second time or a third time that you're going to catch it, but you don't. You start hearing what you thought you'd written, and it gets ingrained in your mind, and that you didn't misspell that word. So yeah, I would recommend it. But yeah, give it a try. I think you'll enjoy yourself. I'm lucky, I've got a teacher's retirement from the state of Vermont. I've got Social Security, so I'm paying the bills. I don't care about that. I'm writing because I love it.
So you guys don't use Grammarly or anything like like
Nah, but I mean Pages, which is the they'll catch little things. But to tell the truth, I'm busting more grammar rules when I write books than I'm following. I mean, it wouldn't help me. I'm making up words. As I told you before, I told you someone who bases their political career on hatred in my book is called an Iscariot after the Bible. Someone who hates women is called a Chauvin after chauvinist. And I even coined the word Palomine, Palomine, which is a buddy, a good Palomine, you know. So no, a spell check doesn't do it. It's a spell check horror. I have to do it my own way.
Yeah, and I use Jason, I'll use Grammarly like just for my professional writing, just to really to catch like any punctuation that you miss, or like typo, or sometimes you'll just accidentally type the wrong word and it'll catch stuff like that. But otherwise, it's not going to really help with voice tone, or like if you're writing a really creative piece, it's just kind of helps me with that basic, like, oh, I forgot to put a comma in there, or I typed the wrong word, or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.